Welcome to the Ingia channel. Today, we're excited to share the three trees with you, an inspiring tale about dreams, transformation, and the true meaning of life. Let's get started. Once upon a time in a forest high on a mountain, three ancient trees dreamed of what they would become. The first tree gazed at the twinkling stars and said,
I want to become a magnificent treasure chest, filled with gold and precious jewels.
The second tree looked down at the distant ocean and said,
I want to be a mighty ship, carrying powerful kings across stormy seas.
The third tree stood tall and said,
I want to stay on this mountaintop forever, reaching out to embrace the sun and the wind, standing strong to protect everyone.
Then one day, three woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said,
This tree is beautiful, just perfect for me.
With a few swift swings of his axe, the tree fell. The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said,
This tree is strong, exactly what I need.
And with a few chops, it too came crashing down. The third woodcutter approached the last tree, barely glancing at it. He muttered,
Any tree will do.
And without a second thought, brought his axe down, felling the third tree. The first tree was taken to a carpenter's shop, but instead of becoming a treasure chest, it was carved into a simple feed box filled with hay for farm animals. The second tree was sent to a shipyard, but rather than becoming a mighty vessel, it was turned into a small fishing boat used to carry smelly fish across a little lake. The third tree was cut into sturdy beams and left forgotten in a lumberyard. Years passed until one still and silent night, golden starlight poured over the feed box. A young woman gently placed her newborn baby inside. Her husband whispered,
I wish we had a proper cradle for him.
The mother smiled and said softly, This manger is beautiful. And in that moment, the first tree suddenly realized it was holding the greatest treasure in the world. Then, on a humid day, a weary traveler and his friends crowded into the small fishing boat. As the boat drifted onto the lake, the traveler fell asleep. Suddenly, a fierce storm arose, and the second tree trembled, fearing it was too weak to withstand the raging winds and waves. The traveler awoke, stood up, stretched out his hand, and said,
Peace.
In an instant, the storm calmed. And at that moment, the second tree realized it was carrying the king of heaven and earth. On a Friday morning, the third tree was startled when someone picked up its wooden pieces and carried them back to the mountaintop, where it had once stood tall. There, the sturdy beams were assembled into a strong fence to keep wild beasts away. As the sun began to rise, the third tree suddenly realized it was still strong enough to stand firm on the mountain, protecting everyone just as it had once dreamed. The story of the three trees reminds us that our dreams may not always come true in the way we expect, but life has a way of turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. Each tree discovered its true purpose through sacrifice and service. What are your thoughts on this story? We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Ingia for more meaningful stories.